Purge is a film series consisting of 5 movies, and the premise of this is what if America went lawless for one day? This is under the guise that you're doing this to reduce crime rates, let people take out their desires and anger all in one day, and then in hopes to make society a safer place overall. But if you've watched the movies, you will know there is more of a political underlying message of this, and that is actually that the government knows that rich people, for the most part, can save themselves as long as some dumbass kid doesn't let people in. And that rich people can continue to thrive during these days as they just stay hidden for one day and have a little vacation, while homeless and poor people and people in poorer districts just absolutely get slaughtered. We actually even find out that the government is sending in their own people to wipe out neighborhoods of poor people. And so we find this out, and the series consists of basically just action, kind of horror, thriller movies, if you will, based on a dystopian idea. But I kind of wanted to dive into the possibility of what if the purge happened? Would the government allow it? Would the government entertain this idea? And if the purge for some reason did go through, would it actually happen like it does in the movies? And when I say like in the movies, I mean, I don't even know if I can say these words on YouTube, so I'm just gonna come up with little SA violence and unconsensual intercourse and murder. Can I say murder? Let's hope. We'll find out if this gets demonetized. And so the primary things we see are very brutalized murder and then very like graphic SA and just things like that. And obviously there is theft, there's robberies, there's all this stuff, but for the most part there is a big focus on violence. And I'm curious, would humans actually turn to violence in this case, or would they hunker down and wait through the time? Would they just steal things? Would they just, like, I'm imagining if there was a purge, right, what can you do? You can steal things, you can commit petty thefts, you can do, like, little things to improve your life. You can't afford that nice TV in that warehouse, you can go and steal it, right? But no, we obviously see a primary part of murder, and now this is partly because no one wants to watch a 2-hour-long movie about petty theft, but it is also because that's just how this purge happens. There is a lot of violence. And so would this violence actually happen? I was at a big no. I was like, I'm innocent, I'm naive, I have more trust in humans than clearly I should. And so I was like, no way would humans ever commit such acts. And then it got me thinking, logistically, taking off the rose-tinted glasses, would this actually happen? And now you're going to have to follow me on a little bit of a tangent to understand how I even got to this question in the first place. Are you aware of Bonnie Blue? Are you aware of her failed attempt at a petting zoo? If you're not, and you're not chronically online, congratulations, I'll explain it for you. Bonnie Blue is a OF creator, and she basically wanted to do this challenge where she goes, okay, I'm gonna it's more, I'm gonna lay there and 2,000 men can run a train on me, basically. And it's basically they can do whatever they want. And a lot of women and men were scared for her safety. There was a lot of people who were like, she's setting women back, she's so dumb, blah, blah, blah. But like a lot of people in general were really scared of her safety. And I was like, this is stupid, but like I hope she has security guards. I hope she has things in place to, not actually let men do whatever they want, because we all know that would never go well. And then a lot of people brought up Maria Abrakovich. And she is I believe, a Serbian performance artist. And what she did was this art piece called Rhythm Zero. And this, she stood lifeless for, I believe it was 6 hours maybe? Yeah, duration 6 hours. And she put 72 objects on the table and said, I'm not real. I'm not a human, I'm an object. Do whatever you want to me, right? Like, take all these things, do these horrible things to me, I don't care. What would you do to a human? And sure, some people were nice. A lot of people were not. I believe it was recorded that people were sticking rose thorns into her. Someone put a gun to her head before someone else pulled it down, and they were like ripping her clothes off. And this wasn't even inherently sexual, right? This was just a do what you want, and people took it sexual, people took it murderous, people took it scary, and I want you to think, okay, yeah, but no one killed her. She is not able to void the law. You cannot let someone sign something if it, like, voids legality, if you know what I mean. Like, she cannot legally say, oh yeah, you can kill me. I'm an object, kill me. No, you have to follow the law, right? And granted, yeah, she's probably like, oh, I'm not gonna snitch, there's no cameras, or I'm not gonna go to the police if you assault me. Like, the person who pointed the gun at her, if he pulled that trigger and she died, he's still getting charged for murder, whether she consented or not, right? And that's still how they treated her. When she wasn't actually an object, but she let them do whatever. And it was said that when she walked forward and, like, after the 6 hours and was like, I'm a human, remember, people ran away. They couldn't deal with the conflict. And that is, like I said, with legal rules still in place. She let them do whatever, but society is not going to let them do whatever, right? The purge is that to an extreme, where society is literally letting them do whatever. So, would everyone go to murder? Probably not. But would a lot of people? I could imagine so. And so that's how I got to this point, right? I thought about Maria Abrakovich and Rhythm Zero and Bonnie Blue, and then I was on the phone to my mum. And I was talking to her about this thing and this video I wanted to make and stuff and the purge. Because she was talking about, she was like, oh my god, you should watch this new documentary, it's super weird, it's about this cruise, which I'm sure you guys have seen. It's called Trainwreck Poop Cruise or something, and it's a horrific documentary. Like, I feel so terrible for these people. It has to be like psychological torture at this point. And it basically, they're stranded in the middle of the ocean, they have to poop in bags, there's barely any food, and they go animalistic. They start being territorial, they start hoarding food because they're running out of food. They obviously want to protect their loved ones. And my mum was like, oh my god, it really shows how fight or flight happens. And I was like, it always makes me think, like, if a zombie movie happened, people would actually go insane. And she was like, well, think about COVID, like how they reacted to toilet paper and the store shutting down and, like, feeling like they had to ration all these things, like we were going into World War III with this pandemic. And it really, like, got me thinking about how we are so much more animalistic than we think. And obviously a zombie apocalypse or a society downfall is a lot different to the purge, whereas the purge, they just shut down society for one day, whereas a zombie apocalypse, obviously society crumbles, people start hoarding, you can kind of understand that more. But I think the gist is still the same, where if there's no society, there is nothing stopping us between being humans and being animals, right? And so I do really think that some horrific things would happen if the purge happened, which is just so crazy to me, like terrifying. But that's how I got to this thought, was like, oh my god, would this happen? And I can definitely think this could happen for sure. Like, I don't know if it would happen to this extent, but I definitely think there are some horrific crimes. And I think a lot of people have sick desires they either don't let happen because it's illegal or it's too hard to get away with, or they do it sparsely because it is illegal and they don't want to get caught. I think there would be a lot of SA violence, like, you know, I think there would be a lot of that. I think there would be a lot of theft. I think there would probably be murder. And I also got thinking about, like, well, what about society, right? Like, society shuts down for one day, but what happens the next day? You know, like, how would society readjust after the purge? Like, when hundreds of thousands of people are dying? Like, no. How would society adjust to that, right? And that's, like, a whole different video. That would be intense. But it did get me thinking about the societal pressure of the purge and what would happen. Would people be nicer during the work year? Like, I think people would be nicer over the other 364 days. And I think they would be scared. Like, I think in the purge we definitely see some issues of, like, people fighting and stuff before the purge, and it's like, why would you try and start beef with people before the purge? But I also think there's two sides of the coin. There's one side who's gonna go, happy purging, they're gonna go purge, and there's one side who is going to lock themselves up in a safe haven and they're gonna survive. I think the people who are gonna lock themselves up and not participate in the purge will try and be happier, better people, and try and get along with everyone to protect themselves. And then I think the other side of the coin is people who go purging, and I think they won't care how they're perceived, because where are you going to find them? Not in their house. They're out killing people. And then I also do, like, think about the side of, like, yes, there's society pressure of, like, well, you can't just go murdering people, because how is your co-worker, how is your housemate, how is your family, how is your friends going to react when they see that you're purging? And then it's like, well, they wear masks. I think that's how you avoid it. I don't think people would go out as themselves. Like, maybe some really sick individuals would, but I could only really see people going out in masks to protect themselves, because obviously, while yes, murder's legal that one day, if people know you're a murderer, probably not gonna go well the rest of the year, right? And there was another point I wanted to do. I'm not writing this down, I'm really just flowing, because this has been an idea I've had for a little while now. Oh, yes. So obviously the point of the purge is actually so the government can get rid of poor people, because a huge portion of government taxes go to supporting the less fortunate, right? And so their theory, the more we kill of them, the less there are, blah blah blah. But I do think, especially in today's climate, if this was real, there are some very rich people who a lot of people would go after. And so I'm like, how would they protect themselves? I know they're rich, so like, I don't know. I think that would be interesting. Like, how, I guess rich people probably would aim to not go purging. Maybe they would lock themselves down. And I mean, like, obviously there are some people I could definitely think would be on the hit list #1, like Donald Trump. But obviously they do have, like, classes. You can't kill the president and stuff. So, I don't know. It's all here, there of what would happen. But I could see a lot of people going after more rich people or things like that. I could definitely see service workers going after some customers. I'd be keeping track of all my, like, numbers. I'll be like, yep, you were a bitch. I'm going after you in the purge. Could definitely see that happening as well. I do think people would be a lot nicer if the purge was real. Not because I think that the idea of having one day murder is legal would decrease people's, like, lust for murder. But I think it's more that people wouldn't want to be a target, so they would be nicer. But then there's the question of, like, would killing people for one day actually help? Probably not. I think a lot of, like, normal humans, like, would feel a lot of guilt. Like, I think if I murdered someone, I would feel a lot of guilt inside me. It would not go well. And, I mean, I don't have any murderous lust, so that could be why, but, like, a lot of people, I don't think, can satiate that in one day. Unless they were, like, keeping the bodies or keeping trophies and, like, doing that. Maybe I've watched too much Criminal Minds. I don't know if that's actually how murder works. Or murderers. Or serial killers. But I just imagine that one day wouldn't satiate it. Maybe for most people. Anyways. On to my next question of, would the government actually think about the purge in real life? And I feel like this is a very real time to be talking about it with everything that is happening in the world, and especially with ICE issues, and I feel like we can't go without talking about that, because I do really, really think that the government is doing something very seriously messed up that does have an impact on society, and it has a lot to do with racism, which I do think the purge has to do as well. I think it's very hand in hand. Do I actually think America would go, we're gonna give you one lawless day? No. Why? Because there's too much risk involved, there's not enough control, it's not a good way to get rid of poor people, and how does society move forward after that day, right? Like, what do you do when you're like, oh, my manager was killed? Oh, we have to rehire a manager every year because they're always bitches and they always get murdered. It's like, no, how would you deal with walking into work and the whole department of work is collapsed because everyone's been murdered? Or how would you deal with your, like, you know, like, it's just so much would happen that I don't think you can do that. I also don't think it's worth it, because a lot of people who are maybe poorer classed are your average day-to-day minimum wage workers. If you kill every poor person, you're not gonna have anyone to work the jobs and the hard jobs that rich people don't want to do, quite frankly.
Every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, no. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm saying.
And I think this is, like, a big talk, especially with, like, nuclear war and stuff, about how rich people are getting bunkers, but rich people don't want to actually do work. So, like, what are they gonna do when there's no poor people to do their job for them? And so it's like, rich people want to survive, but they don't want us to die because they want us to do their hard work, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And so I don't think they would want to take away the working class, quite frankly, but I do think they would maybe want to take away people who are less fortunate and unable to work. So maybe disabled people, maybe homeless people. I could see governments wanting to get rid of them, because to them, they don't provide money, they only take money. Unvaluable society. members, even though really we should be helping uplift them and make them valuable, but whatever. Anyways, oh no, I obviously do not agree with the government and any of what I'm saying right now. I'm just saying ideas. I do think that I could see them trying to do something in place to do that, but the purge, no, it would just take too much effort. I would not put it past the government to try and do something to get rid of the what they deem as less valuable. I'm trying to be very careful with my words here, but I don't think it would be the purge, because the cleanup and the whole like mess, and can you imagine how much money the government has to fuel into just cleaning up the mess? Like, no. And it would very quickly, I feel, have a, I guess, I don't even know the words to describe it. It would very quickly collapse society, I believe. I mean, I do believe we see in one movie where the riots continue past purge hour, because when shit gets real, like, it's real hard to get a tame on an untamed society. And I think that when you let people have that much free will and murder, it's gonna be real hard to like roll it back and be like, okay guys, calm down. And also, how do you tell who killed in purge hour and who didn't? Like, what's stopping you from going like, oh, there's this body, yeah, oh, Maria's missing, was she missing this week or did she get killed in purge? We don't know, you know, like, it's all up in the air. Nowhere would really be safe. You wouldn't be unrolling your windows at the next day to go to work. Like, no, you would still be on edge because people can still murder you, and you won't know if they won't know if it happened at purge or not. But yeah, that is it. I do not think that the government would enroll a purge. If they did, though, I could definitely see it happening. Maybe in a little less of an extreme way, but definitely still murder, violence. I do, however, feel like there are too many flaws with having a system, but I could definitely see the government doing something extreme to get rid of less valuable people that they deem less valuable. But that is all. Do you guys like the Purge movies? Do you think it could happen in real life? Do you think if it did happen, people would be murdering? What would you do if the Purge was real? But that is all, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Bye!